The Boy in the Buddy Holly Glasses. June 3rd, 1976. The cute one came first. That's what the girls called him. Or so I learned long after those girls had grown up into women. But what the ladies thought of some Englishman was way down on the list of the 10,000 things I had to learn after nearly 18 years in a coma. I woke up in time for America's big bicentennial, but that was about it. I'd missed everything else. I missed what just about amounts to the life of an adult. What I missed could just about go off to war or vote or buy a near beer. What I missed. Man walking on the moon because of President Kennedy. President Kennedy getting shot in Texas. That there was a president named Kennedy. A war in Vietnam. That there was a place called Vietnam in the first place, half a world away from Texas. A British invasion. Yes, I had a lot to learn when I woke up after 18 years. And the beginning of me telling that story begins with the cute one. Now, I'd only just been moved, strapped to a gurney, stuffed into the back of an ambulance, sped across interstate highways that hadn't even existed in the world I'd known, from a bed at the Mayo Clinic to a bed in a home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it was a real shock when a shaggy feathered head of hair showed up in my doorway at State Street Center, and a pair of the biggest baby deer eyes I've ever seen got that much bigger when they spotted me, and he jumped and I jumped, and my tray of lunch ended up all over me. "Sorry to startle you," said the man with the hair and the eyes. "I'm looking for a Mr. Drake, Mr. Charles Drake. They told me you'd be in this room." "Yes, room number 522. He looked back out at the number on the door, and I looked down at the peas and carrots and mashed potatoes and gravy all over my bed, all over my crippled hands, one strapped to a fork, the other to a spoon, like how my sister used to tie whittled wooden utensils to her baby dolls. I was somewhere in between, part baby, part inanimate object. Now, coming out of a coma involves a lot more than just waking up and picking up where you left off. And it involves a lot more than just figuring out how to use your arms and your legs again, or even act like a regular person. It involves unraveling the person you are now, as opposed to just remembering that person that you used to be, that person who died. Yes, I'm Charles Drake. Hello, Mr. Drake. I'm the friend who helped arrange all of this. The arrangements, they're suitable so far, up to snuff. See these contraptions on my hands? It's part of the physical therapy, they call it. Working to get my hands working how hands are supposed to work. If you don't use them all the time, you lose that ability to use them at all. Same with your legs. But the college kids they send over, they're working hard, and so am I. They say someday I might even walk again, not just be stuck in this bed or in some wheelchair. I'm sorry. I'm real sorry. You're the one who arranged all this. All you've done for me, I've got no room to complain at all. Believe me, I'm happy. No, I'm lucky to be here. So belly aching about how hard the bed is, how bland the food is, how everyone else here is some Catholic priest or nun or something. That won't do any good, Mr. Drake, what a mess. The cute one's eyes bugged out again as my nurse thunderstormed into the room. You, she looked him up and down, can wait outside. Yes, ma'am. He turned to leave. But it's a good thing what you done. A foot shorter than him, as wide as he was tall, she took my visitor by his shoulders, pulled him down, and looked him right in the eye. Yes, I know all of this, his secret. Oh, so you're the inside man then, MI6 and all that. Helped us find this out of the way safe house where Mr. Drake's secret, he whispered it as if the whole world was listening to his every word, is safe. I never did care for that noise of yours. You didn't, did you? You're no Lawrence Welk. You've got that right. No Liberace. Nope, not him either. But I did enjoy the Ed Sullivan program. When you sang the song from that movie. Oh, how I love that movie, with the crooked salesman and all them trombones. 76 of them, if I remember correctly. And Marion, who works in the library. They don't make movies like that anymore. It's like I was singing it just for you, Mrs. Lewandowski. But you can call me Nurse Laura. All right, then. I will let you assist Mr. Drake, Nurse Laura, who works in the old folks' home. Now, I spent my last summer, the summer of '58, in New York City. Turtles and funny cigarettes in an apartment that cost way too much in a neighborhood called Greenwich Village, which they tell me I was ahead of the curve on. Anyway, we'd get out and see a show or two, and I loved The Music Man with Robert Preston and Barbara Cook. Bought the record and everything, so I missed whatever movie she was talking about. I missed that particular evening on Ed Sullivan, but I knew the tune that Englishman sang softly as he left my room, in an accent I knew was English, but couldn't quite place. There were birds in the sky, but I never saw them winging. I'd been to England, too, right before I made the move east to New York. The three of us spent the entire month of March playing shows from Southampton to Nottingham, from Cardiff to Newcastle. Same nonsense as a few months later when I zigzagged across the top of the states, pell-mell from here to there. No rhyme or reason at all when it came to the order. Disorder was more like it. While I was over there, I learned that just like a smaller version of the US of A, England has its own different accents and jargon and lingo. From one town to the next, it might as well be a whole other world. So I knew that not every Englishman speaks all proper like Churchill or the Queen. Same as every American don't talk like he's out of West Texas. Best I could tell by the lilt in his voice and a name like his, he came from somewhere near Ireland. Not quite Irish, but close. And when he came back in, when Nurse Laura let him back in, the cute one wasn't alone. Now, the funny one was taller than Nurse Laura, but not by much. I didn't know who he was, of course, except a beard and a nose and a pair of aviators, but I knew right off that he was funny. We just played 3 nights in Chicago, the cute one was saying. Tomorrow is Minnesota. But later this month we've got the 3 shows at the Forum, so I should be able to pop into the studio, record vocals for that song I wrote. What's cooking? The funny one lifted the lid on my lunch tray as Nurse Laura took it back out the door. Ooh, mash. Any left for me, love? Nurse Laura didn't have anything for him, food or time or even a reply, but she did listen to the cute one. Oh, Nurse Laura, I've dragged in a friend. I hope they warned you. There'd be 4 of us. I found this one out by the back door where they told me to come in, all secret like. The others should be by shortly, all cabbing separately because, well, you know. He raised an eyebrow, either a Casanova or a conspirator. You wouldn't happen to have some chairs so we don't have to hold a bed in with Mr. Drake? Mr. Drake, the funny one nodded, leaving his shades on but stretching a hand to me before he saw the fork tines and a spoonful of lunch still strapped to my own, and pulled his hand back. Good to meet you. Not sure why he pulled me away from the coast, but he's always got his reasons. Why don't you go with good Nurse Laura here and find us a few chairs? The funny one followed the nurse into the hall, and somewhere out there I heard her holler. Sister, what are you doing up here? This isn't your floor. I haven't told the others. The visitor in my room pulled my attention back out of the hallway. I guess I should have. He a friend of yours, or friends? I asked. You said 4. You could say we're business associates, or were once upon a time. Once we were a group, actually. But yes, we're friends. Best of friends. Like brothers, you know. Good and... Oh, I've got brothers, too. Older brothers, and a sister. You might have met them. Yes, I spoke with your family as we were working all this out. A quick thing. I'm about to tell my story as best I can. Story nobody's been told before. Story that starts here with 4 Englishmen who the whole world knows. The whole world except for me. But I'm going to leave my family out of the story. They protected me all those years from becoming a freak show or some sad sideshow tourist trap. Me lying there just north of dead in some Minnesota hospital bed, just north of the state where it all happened. And I'll be dead and gone once the story gets told or heard. That's my stipulation for it, my story. But who knows who else might still be around. I hope they are. I hope they all are. Now it's my turn to protect them, my loved ones, same as they protected me. They didn't ask for any of this, not before, not since. So unless I have to, I'm leaving them out of this, because it's my story, not theirs. But we're like brothers, the four of us. Defend each other to the death, drive each other to that point, same time. That's brothers for you. Nurse Laura and the funny one got back, a chair under each arm, and a scarecrow of a man in tow. Now, I don't say he was a scarecrow just because of how he looked, although he was about as thin as a man could get. On that bony body hung a thick winter coat and a big knit hat, there in early summer, like how a kid might decorate a fence post as fall's becoming winter. This man was all coat and skeleton. He moved like one, too. Not like a human, but like a machine that's not working quite right, all jerky and uncertain. Over the coat's folded fur collar and under the cap pulled down low, poked the skeleton of the face of someone who might still be human, but was well on his way to the next realm. He was yellow, not off-white or eggshell or cream. He was yellow, like a school bus or a lemon. The quiet one, I'd learned he was, well, quiet and unwell. Have you seen someone about it? The cute one was concerned. You look like hell. The funny one was blunt. Hepatitis, that's what they tell me. Yes, I've seen 'em. I've seen all sorts of 'em. None of 'em have helped. We're looking into more holistic means now. Oriental remedies, needles, all that. The bottle just cost me my marriage and a cool $1,000,000 or so. The funny one's reply, funny or not, faded out as she faded into my doorway, into my room. The ghost I'd see in the hall. Now, there aren't ghosts, at least none that I encountered in my years in whatever world away from here I was in. And she wasn't a ghost at all either. But in the days I'd been there at State Street Center, I'd seen her, or the dark, hurried shape of her, drift past my room at all hours of the day and night. So I guess in my head I'd started thinking of her as a ghost, but she wasn't. She was just a girl, or she looked like a girl. I'd never seen her as anything other than a dark shape. But now I saw her, stopped still in my doorway, and she looked like a girl with a habit on her head and a gypsy guitar in her hand. Now, I call her a girl because she's one of those girls who's kind of ageless. Either a child who they call an old soul, or a spinster who they say is young at heart. Never growing up, but always been grown up, both and neither all at once. I could see why I thought she was a spirit of some sort, her draped in black like a grieving widow. From under the shadows of her hood shone two black eyes, not frightening, but deep like a dog's, like a pup's, like an old dog giving one last longing look. And I call it a gypsy guitar because it had gut strings. It was maybe only 3/4 the size of a regular old acoustic guitar. It was all beat up, but she held it out to my visitors like it was a priceless Stradivarius. This guitar that looked like one a gypsy might play, or a nun. I brought this for you, said the nun, handing the guitar first to the quiet one, who was shaking and shivering, too hard to take it from her, and then to the cute one who took it from her, then flipped it over, left-handed and upside down, began to tune it. The vibration of the strings as they approached unison brought me back to all those guitars I'd tuned before. Sister Mary Pat, what did I tell you? The dissonance of an angry nurse shooing away a mouse-like nun brought me back to my bed, the foot of which they now sat in a semicircle of rickety seats, in the order they'd arrived. The cute one, the funny one, the quiet one, and an empty chair. The cute one sang the words before he began to play. Just you know why you and I will by and by know true love way. In all the time I'd been there at State Street Center, no, in the time I'd been awake before they'd moved me there, nobody had played me any music. Now, this is just a theory of mine, but I think they didn't play me any music for fear of how I'd react. And I reacted, I believe, exactly how they worried I'd react. That Spanish guitar chimed all cattywampus. That British fellow with those great big eyes sang that song, my song, like it was his song. I'd lost it by the first bridge, which he sang alone and every bit as earnest as he'd sung the verse. And I really started bawling when the quiet one joined him on the second verse, the close harmony a third above his. When he started the second bridge again, alone again, I'd composed myself enough to lose it all over again. And that's when the fourth one arrived. Joys to share with those who really care. Sometimes we'll cry, sometimes we'll sigh, and you know why just you and I know true love waits. The smart one. He looked smart, not fancy smart, but intelligent smart. Shirt sleeves and spectacles. He could have been your civics teacher or the man who sells you a washing machine or does your taxes or books a trip. A guy in a collared shirt and glasses. A couple years or so older, not confined to a bed by a broken body and a broken brain, he could have been me. And he joined me, the smart one. He joined us. He joined them in a third harmony that gave the song two more voices than it had ever had in my old world. By the time the three of them ended, I couldn't stop crying. You don't like Buddy Holly then? Asked the new one, the smart one. I wouldn't tell him. He just bought Buddy's entire back catalog. What? It all made a little more sense then, but still no sense at all. How and why I'd ended up where I'd ended up, who this friend of mine was. I thought it sounded all right, considering. I'd say we've still got it, boys. Regular Don and Phil. Don and Phil, I asked. Everly? Remembering folks from that old world. But these four were already off in a world all their own. Singing had settled the quiet one enough that he took the guitar and flipped it the right way and pulled it tight against his big fur coat, his spidery yellow fingers moving up and down the strings like a real pro, like Chet Atkins or somebody. Reminds me of this one. Just recorded it for my LP. Old Cole Porter number. But we could have done it like the Everlys. An Everly Brothers take on that particular tune hadn't existed in my old world. Not yet, anyway. But I knew Bing Crosby's Sailboat Serenade from High Society, and I knew I sure would have loved hearing those boys and their close harmonies give it a whirl. The quiet one played and sang. The smart one's voice mixed in right underneath, like some British Everly Brothers. Like some backwards Everly Brothers, actually. Because I'll tell you what, Don and Phil could sing harmonies as well as anyone, this side of Ira and Charlie Leuven. But all of them, the harmonies sung high. That's hard and all because you have to have the know-how and the voice. But singing a close harmony underneath the melody, that's its own thing. Most singers, they never get the chance to do it unless they're singing with a girl singer. So it's not a skill most boy singers ever practice. But you could tell these boys had practiced, and boy, they could sing. I give to you and you give to me true love, true love. Like brothers, they really were, because only brothers could sing that way, knowing where the other one's going, both voices blending together, just right, not because of blood necessarily, but because of hours and hours and hours spent singing together. And just like brothers, they knew when not to sing. The smart one dropped out as the quiet one took the bridge. You and I have a guardian angel on high with nothing to do but to give to me and to give to you love forever true. I looked over at my guardian angel, watching him watch his friends finish. Good dawn, John. Good fill, George. The guitar made its way to the end. The missus and I are flying out next week to record this one I wrote for him. The smart one gestured to the funny one. You boys have me flying all over, don't you? No piano in here, so no boogie-woogie, but we'll make it work. How's this? I'm not sure if it was the strings on the guitar or how he strummed them, but the song sounded less Jerry Lee than it did Belafonte. Calypso-like. The smart one gave it an island bounce. The funny one gave the song some words. Not words I'd have come up with, and not singing them like someone who sings very much, except for his own entertainment, but he sang some words. After each line, the smart one, smiling like he was the funny one, added some nonsense. Well, I'm a cookin', doodling, cookin', doodling, 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 cookin' in the kitchen of love, cookin' in the kitchen of love. Da 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 da. This went on, nonsense lyrics followed by nonsense words, for a full verse before the two sang a chorus about some party they were going to have. As soon as there was a party, the smart one played Party Pooper. He took a bad song and made it better, staying on that C chord and tracing a sad trail on the bass note. Instead of making up words like he'd just been doing, though, he just hummed a melody to make you sad or make you mad. As the smart one strummed and hummed, the quiet one, his bundled arms crossed even tighter than when he'd first come in, stood up and stumbled out. Like brothers, the other two seemed used to, no, reserved to, all the fuss. And like a brother, the smart one stopped his playing and followed the quiet one out into the hall. What's wrong? I asked. Oh, just him being funny, said the funny one, or trying to. Funny how? I thought it was pretty funny. The chiffons and then Eric? Chiffon? Eric who? The cute one stepped in. Mr. Drake hasn't kept up with, he's not much of a fan of, I don't think he keeps up with the minutiae of pop music or how it pertains to our lives. It was a bit cheeky of him. Don't tell either of them I said that. One will get a bigger head, the other a broken heart. Is that what pop music is these days? I wondered. No. Those doolangs, those are from a song you missed, a song you might not have heard where you were. Girl group called the Chiffons. And he, the one intent on drinking himself into an early grave, he just recently settled a big court case. One of the songwriters claiming he ripped off that song, with the doolangs and all in it. And then Eric, he's this fellow we know. He ran off with his wife. A friend of yours? Wait, this is 1976? Stealing songs from girls? Stealing wives from friends? What in the... It's all very messy, but he wrote it before he ran off. He didn't write it, said the funny one. Not that part, the drummer did. No, Jim Gordon, the drummer in Eric's band, he did play that part, the piano part. He did get a co-writing credit for Layla, but didn't he nick it off his girlfriend? That singer, Coolidge, I heard she wrote it. Yes, I think that the lovely Rita should have gotten the credit. Nobody ever gives the drummer credit. He got the credit how it matters most, making money whenever the song's played. How you'll be making money now when Buddy Holly's songs are played. The smart one came back in, one arm still cradling the guitar, the other cradling his unwell brother. Their quarrel smoothed over. When he let go of the quiet one, the smart one started up with yet another song, yet another Buddy Holly song, and the others leaned in close, like brothers, three of them singing and all four, all alone, in their own world. Hold me close and tell me how you feel. Tell me love is real. Words of love you whisper soft and true. Darling, I love you. The one they said owned the song sang it like he did, taking the high lonesome part all himself. The other two joined on that low harmony. That low harmony, you can't quite tell if it's a harmony at all or the song's melody. It's so much part of the song. Singing so tight you'd swear it was just one guy, one voice. They rode the wordless mm-mm-ums for what seemed like forever, the A and the D and the E over and over and over again. Their voice is perfect, even more perfect than how that song sounded in my old world. You didn't care for that first Buddy Holly tune, the smart one said to me, once the song faded to a whisper and off into the far corners of my room. How'd you like that one? One we recorded even, and must have played it, what, hundreds, maybe thousands of times on stage. I love it. And the other one. Figured you for a fan of his, you laying there in those Buddy Holly glasses of yours. See, back before we became who we were or who we are. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are or were. All you done, all he's done. Oh, don't you be sorry, not at all. It's refreshing, ain't it, boys? Refreshing not to be someone, not to be anyone at all. Like back when we were just like you, just fans of his, just fans of Buddy Holly. Before I was me, some hippie or heretic or rock star lunatic, I was just a boy in Buddy Holly glasses. I was just a boy in a band that I named after Buddy Holly's band. It's why I took up music while we all play music, why we still play music. And that's why I don't know if you saw it in the news, but why he just bought the rights to Buddy Holly's. That's not exactly why I did it. Why, sure it is, because we're fans, because as boys we were gutted when he died. He didn't die, the cute one said at the exact moment I said, I didn't die. Our voices had blended, not like brothers, but they'd blended enough that the words didn't quite register. Christ, said the smart one, still not getting it. I fly halfway across America because he asked me to. He can't tell me why, and I get to this home, and I think, oh, I must be here to visit some fan on his deathbed, to grant his last wish and all that. That'd be you. Then not only do you claim not to know who I am, who we are, there in your Buddy Holly glasses, but then you're in on some elaborate joke that he didn't die? I didn't. What? I said I didn't. You didn't what? I said I didn't die. No. Yes. And then that man, me, that crippled man in a bed in a home in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, that nearly middle-aged man who had so much about his new world to be taught, he taught those four Englishmen something, those four men who'd surely seen and heard it all, the four men who'd seen and heard it all, who you'd think there was nothing left they could be taught. I told them the story of what had happened, almost 18 years before, to the boy in the Buddy Holly glasses.